Hello, I'm the real-life fake wizard. Today I am going to discuss the recent controversy featuring the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo, the company, has chosen to make the process of migrating from Switch 1 to Switch 2 confusing, expensive, and borderline offensive. I am going to attempt to address every piece of this controversy and do so without getting emotionally animated. I believe that once I present all of the information, you may agree with me and my claims that not only is Nintendo managed by spineless cowards, but also that Nintendo's strategies for the Switch 2 are evidence of corporatism that is anti-consumer. If, by the end of this video, I have brought you any value, consider subscribing to this channel if you are not already subscribed. I would also say, if you have a friend or two who need to hear about how Nintendo is trying to screw over their customers, you might do well to share this video with them too. Thank you, and let's begin.
Behold the magic of the Wizard's Brew.
Organic matcha. All the energy without the jitters. Support the channel and get yours today at fakewizard.com.
Firstly, who am I? I am the real-life fake wizard. I'm a business owner outside of the wizard persona. I am speaking as someone who has been educated in business and marketing, and I am also an avid gamer, spending copious hours of my free time engaging in video games. So I am speaking to this controversy as a business-minded individual and a consumer of these products. Now, as most of you already know, on April 2nd, Nintendo held a 1-hour live stream where they showcased the Nintendo Switch. They showed off all the new features, add-ons, and announced a bunch of new games. And for the most part, everyone was pretty happy. Most of the internet was content with these announcements. But Nintendo sneakily refrained from announcing the price of the console, accessories, and games, instead opting to have that information published through the proxy of the Access Media, instead of announcing it themselves. To date, as of right now, at the time of recording this, Nintendo has just finally responded to the pricing situation. They have hidden behind the Access Media journalists until this point, where Doug Bowser gave an interview to CNBC, where he confirmed that the price of the console was not with the consideration of tariffs. They believe the price of the console should be worth more than the Switch 1, and that the price of the games should be elevated based on the game itself. This is important to note. The tariffs had nothing to do with the price, and these decisions were made well ahead of time. But their decisions to not be transparent as to why has only led to more confusion and outrage, rightfully so, from the public. Nintendo has chosen to charge considerably high prices on the console, yes, but almost more importantly, the games. Switch 2 games are clocking in arbitrarily at $80 in the United States, and in many other countries, games cost even more. Nintendo's failure to address the public themselves is cowardice. They are choosing to charge prices for games that will send ripple effects across the entire industry, and it will impact everyone, whether you're a Nintendo gamer or not. We'll talk about that more in a minute. And even so, they don't have the courage to tell us to our faces what they're doing or why. They are not being transparent even after this interview with Doug Bowser. He is not giving nearly enough information that would put everyone's minds at ease. They're not defending their choice to charge more money. They're hiding. I have lost tremendous respect for them on this point. They hid the price from their live streams, they themselves haven't addressed it much at all, and they used the journalists as punching bags, which I can only expect means they're hoping we'll all just shut up and get over it. Obviously not. Nintendo doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt anymore. This is sneaky, and it's disingenuous. The console. When we look at the console itself and its price point of $450 for the base model, let's also understand that this doesn't come with any games. So it's $450, and then you need to spend $80 to also get Mario Kart World. Now, some of you might be saying, Wizard, just get the Mario Kart bundle, and to that I would say, that's going to sell out first. Those bundles are going to be hard to acquire, meaning that most consumers need to be prepping for a $530 transaction, not a $450 one, and that doesn't include tax either. The pricing of the console itself is not great. Nintendo was previously considered to be price sensitive for families, as they mostly focus on making family games. A Switch one today, including Super Mario Wonder, retails for $350. That's $100 less and includes one of the biggest titles on the Switch console. A $450 console price might not be out of the question for someone like me or you, perhaps, but there are going to be lots and lots of families all over the world who are priced out of this. And really, here's why. If the price of the console isn't enough to put them out of the market altogether, the price of the games is the final nail. $80 games is a lot of money in an economic time where people are struggling to pay their bills. But focusing more on the console for right now, this system is launching with an LCD screen, which is what the base Switch launched with back in 2017. That's almost 10 years ago. They are launching the Switch 2 in 2025 with over 10-year-old technology inside of it, which is fundamentally promising you that they are going to release a Super Switch 2 in 2 or 3 years, which does have an OLED screen. We know that OLED screens are possible. This plays into that trust factor. If we already know that they're holding out on at least the screen here, what else are they holding out on? Because I can tell you, it's more than just the hardware here that Nintendo is holding back on. This isn't the only example. The accessories and gimmicks. On that console that costs $500 is a C button. This button connects to the Nintendo exclusive game chat feature where you can connect with friends. In some capacity, it works like Discord, but to be used over the Nintendo servers, which have never really been reliable. This is a feature no one asked for, and no one really trusts that it will be effective or even useful. The featurette of this being implemented to see the screens of your friends while playing Mario Kart is exceptionally poor quality. It's running on a single-digit frame rate, and this is just an inconsequential chat feature which starts off as a direct button on the console's remotes. The worst part about this is that to use it and connect with your friends will require an online subscription to the Nintendo Online service. And with the information that we have right now, which is very little because Nintendo won't address this all with the public, this means that if you're not subscribed, if you're not paying monthly, this button becomes useless to you. Now, there will be lots of people saying that there are ways to get NSO for free for some time. There's promotional materials, promotional time periods, or there are family plans. That means nothing. This is still a button that is tied to a monthly subscription that will become obsolete when your promotional time ends or if you stop charging your credit card. We're not off to a good start with the accessories. And it doesn't get much better. The camera and microphone gimmicks that they are pushing are not inspiring in the slightest. The idea of using a camera with your games is reminiscent of the Xbox Kinect, and that didn't end very well for Microsoft at all. The idea of plugging a webcam into your Switch is not a selling feature when the most asked for items were FPS and console power to run resource-heavy games. This is a time waster that gamers don't want or need. Then we look at the pricing on the rest of the accessories. The television dock set is over $100. The Pro controllers are $80. The Joy-Cons for the Switch 2 are jumping up to $89.99. These are expensive purchases, and they were expensive before, yes, gaming is expensive, but these prices are not for kids. Like, the items themselves are not the kind of thing that price-sensitive parents are going to be comfortable putting into the hands of their children. And also, yes, the $450 console purchase does come with the charging dock and Joy-Cons, but replacing those or getting more of them looks incredibly pricey. And now that we're really getting into the price, let's talk about the games. And there's a lot to talk about. Mario Kart World is being sold digitally for $80 in the United States. I'm making the distinction of digital for a reason. After that Switch Direct and all the pricing information started to come out, there was a big upset about digital games being priced at $80 and physical games being priced at $90. And it wasn't even $80 and $90 exclusively. It was that all Switch 2 games were going to be $10 more for the physical editions. This is really important to get into because lots of Nintendo defenders are addressing this point as if it's YouTubers or content creators putting out misinformation. It's not. Nor did this pricing come from publications and journalists alone, even though they have made the same claims as well. It was Nintendo themselves who posted this $10 difference. On Nintendo's website for Spain, you can see here that the games are listed with a €10 increase over their digital counterparts. This is Nintendo's site. In Spain, allegedly, according to Nintendo, their games will cost €10 more to get the physical editions. It is not our fault for being concerned about this. It is not our fault for getting outraged here in the States about this. Because if it happens in Spain, why isn't it happening in the United States? What are the circumstances that games should be $10 more in price when they're physical copies? And if they're not going to be $90 here in the United States, why isn't Nintendo addressing this themselves? These are very important questions. This ties to that transparency discussion. Why is Nintendo leaving us in the dark? This isn't some rumor here. These prices are posted on an official Nintendo website. Please explain them to us. But okay, let's continue with the assumption that all Switch 2 games will range between $70 and $80. Range here is important. Why is the Donkey Kong Bonanza game $10 less than Mario Kart? Is it shorter in duration? Is there less content? What's the reason behind it? Or flip it around. Why is Mario Kart $10 more than a mainline Donkey Kong title? This is confusing and doesn't make any sense. Are you just giving prices to things randomly, or is there logic here? As a customer of these things, I'd like to understand why things are priced the way that they are. Furthering this pricing confusion, let's look at the Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games. Nintendo is re-releasing games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Kirby Forgotten Land in a new Switch 2 box, and including new add-ons in the form of the Switch 2 Upgrade Pack. Bear with me here, because this is a lot to go over, and they've done a horrible job on explaining this. Let's look at Breath of the Wild here. This game came out in 2017 and has been played for hundreds of hours by hundreds of thousands of people. Last we saw, Breath of the Wild has accumulated over 32 million unit sales. That's a lot of sales. Nintendo is re-releasing this game for the Switch 2 with a price tag of $70. The game is almost 10 years old, and anyone who is going to play it probably already has. $70 is a lot of money for this old game, and if we read the fine print here, we'll see that inside of this Switch 2 box is a Switch 1 game and the Nintendo Switch 2 Upgrade Pack. What does that mean? And why isn't Nintendo explaining it to us better? Because what that looks like it means is when you buy one of these re-released games, you're getting a Switch 1 cartridge and a download code for the Switch 2 Upgrade Pack. Nowhere online do we see any information actually confirming what's in the box. So even with this fine print on the front, it's kind of meaningless. If this is true and these old games are just old games with DLC codes inside, GameStop is cooked. The used marketplace will suffer greatly, but more so, the reason to buy physical copies at all will be a moot point. You may own the plastic box, but you're not actually getting the full physical copy of your games. It's for reasons like this, plus the $10 increase to physical editions we're seeing in Spain, that I have to wonder, is Nintendo trying to kill physical editions altogether? There's one more piece of this to back up the physical edition market being affected idea. Game key cards. Nintendo is making a big deal lately about how some Switch 2 games are going to come with this disclaimer on the box that what you're buying is a game key card, that inside the box is not a complete edition of your game, but instead, the full game will be downloaded via internet required. I know this isn't new, and that there are a handful of games that work like this on the Switch 1, but for Nintendo to be making such a fuss about it right now, it makes me question the implications behind it. Why is this so important to advertise? Why focus on explaining this to us, but not giving us the full picture on game pricing or the true valuation of the upgrade packs? Why spend so much time explaining the Switch 2 camera and C button that no one wants instead of telling us about the things that actually matter? This focus on the game keycard makes me think that pretty soon we're going to see mainline IP games like Zelda or Pokemon perhaps as game key cards, internet-required titles. It's like they're prepping us. It's also insane when you consider that Cyberpunk 2077, which is massive, coming in around 64 gigabytes, can possibly fit on a cartridge, but Bravely Default can't. Who is telling the truth here? My friends, this brings us into discussing the ramifications of charging $80 for Switch 2 games. Clearly, this whole pricing thing is a mess, but the concept of charging $80 for a video game, at least outright, is baffling. There is actually a huge difference between something like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands versus Mario Kart World. See, Kirby is the best-selling Kirby game in the franchise, and what you're getting in the $80 Switch 2 edition is the full original Switch game, but also allegedly $20 worth of new content. With that game, it's like getting the season pass with it, so it's a little different, and I wish they did a better job of explaining that. But at least I can understand it. If you don't own Kirby already, you can buy this version, which comes with a season pass DLC. That's fine. Mario Kart World, on the other hand, doesn't get off so easily. The market price for AAA games is $69.99. That's already too much in the eyes of most gamers, Nintendo or not. That's a lot of money, especially when you don't know if you're going to enjoy the thing you're buying. For Nintendo to choose now to increase prices on baseline games, not including DLC like Kirby does, it makes me say, you're killing the video game market. If people are already uncomfortable and unhappy paying $70 for games, raising it up to $79.99 is going to deter lots and lots of people from buying those games altogether. I don't care that it's Mario Kart, this is not consumer friendly. But see, it's just Mario Kart today, what about tomorrow? Will Pokemon Legends ZA be $80? Will Metroid? Can you trust that they won't be? Nintendo is still hiding right now, and even more interesting here, Switch 1 games are almost all still $59.99, like right now. Most of the Switch 1 games are priced at $60. It's still expensive, but there's enough of a value proposition there. You're much more comfortable spending $60 versus $70. It's a balanced transaction. Why is Mario Kart World $20 more than its predecessor? And what kind of implications are being put on the marketplace as a whole? Will the next World of Warcraft expansion bump up to $80? Will the next Call of Duty be $99? Everyone has been talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 with the fear it will set a precedent for games to be priced higher. Nintendo just kicked in the door. $80 for Mario Kart just sent a shockwave across the entire world that all video games can be priced higher. And if people buy this, it will confirm this precedent. Now, I'd like to address a series of arguments I've seen floating around the internet about this price increase, because there have been a series of terrible arguments that just defend Nintendo at a time where all of this is corporate greed. Everything we've discussed so far is just corporate greed on full display. Number one, games were more expensive in the 90s, so they're okay to raise the price now. No, it's not okay right now. This photo and many like it keep floating around Twitter, saying that games were so much more expensive in the 90s and that we should just shut up and pay what we have to now. But the circumstances then were extraordinarily different. Firstly, that $80 plus got you a physical game with a physical chip inside and the box and manuals. There was a full package there. The physical production costs around these games were significantly more impactful at the time. It was more expensive to make an N64 game than it is to make a Blu-ray disc today, so production is not the issue. Also, the development teams were smaller, the industry was smaller, it was harder to break even, the buyer's market was ridiculously smaller compared to today. None of that is applicable right now. The video game industry is bigger than Hollywood and the American music industry combined. Games are accessible because there is a Switch console in every one out of 3 houses in the United States. That's how much the Switch has penetrated the US market. 1 in 3. There's no reason to compare today's prices to the 90s, when the industry was just getting into the deep end of the pool. Number 2, it's inflation. No, it's not. And this is one of the most annoying points that people keep making, that game prices are going up because of inflation. Well, if you go by those numbers that keep floating around, games should be something like $130 if you were going by the inflation numbers, right? Well, let me ask you this. Would you pay $130 for video games? Not one specific, not just one type of game. Would you pay $130 market price for games? The answer should be overwhelmingly no. So, inflation is not true because it's not true to the actual inflation rate. And more importantly, value proposition and willingness to pay. Inflation rate is just a number. Has the value of the games increased? Are you getting more game for your buck now? No? I certainly don't think so, especially from Nintendo. All of these games are the same thing over and over. That doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's the exact same thing with a fresh coat of yellow paint, which means the value of the item hasn't increased. Okay. Then, willingness to pay. Are you willing to pay more money for these things? Because that trumps inflation 10 times out of 10. If they put Knack 3 up there for $130, what is your willingness to pay for that? 0%. It better be 0%. Same thing. Inflation could say that games should cost over $100, but if the market isn't willing to pay that price, the price comes down to match what buyers are willing to spend. That's part of the free market speaking. Number 3, it's more expensive to make games now. Not really. No, not for Nintendo anyway. Most Nintendo games cost around $50 million to develop. Some would be more than that, like the Legend of Zelda games, but Mario Tennis, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, even the Mario Party games, these are not technical wonders here. These are modest $50 million plus to develop, not $400 million like Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, Red Dead 2 cost $400 million to make, and it is currently selling right now for $59.99. Nintendo doesn't have any games that rival that, and they're charging $20 more for Mario Kart World, which will not at all have the technical features of Red Dead 2. Many of you forget Nintendo makes billions of dollars every year. Billions with a capital B. They are the juggernaut in the games marketplace, and their game development costs are nothing next to almost every other company. The $80 games are entirely greed. Number 4, it's the Trump tariffs that raise the price. That's not true at all. That's not true at all, and it was confirmed today by Doug Bowser himself. The prices for these systems and games were raised before the tariffs were put in place. The tariffs are still very much up in the air. We do not know how everything is going to be ironed out or how it will impact us. Number 5 is a response to a comment I got on my last video. Quote, "I'm not poor or cheap. I don't care how much it costs." Buddy, you are a moron. I'm not cheap or poor. No, you're an asshole. Just because you got it figured out and money is no object to you doesn't mean the entire gaming hobby should go belly up, okay? Not everyone's got mommy and daddy's trust fund. Lots of us out here need to work extremely hard to rub 2 nickels together. Not wanting to spend $80 on a video game doesn't make you poor or cheap in theory, though you'd become poorer from buying all these overpriced games. Number 6. Who cares? It's just Mario Kart that's more money. We kind of addressed this earlier. This is a foolish point because you're letting them off the hook. This company here is trying to screw us all over, and we could blindly go along with it or stand our ground and probably don't buy it. It's Mario Kart today that's charging $80. But tomorrow, it's the next Call of Duty. It's the next Bethesda title. Game Pass goes up. PlayStation Network goes up. Steam games go up too. Mario Kart's pricing will ripple across the entire industry. And that's only if people gobble this up. Getting to the end here, there are some outstanding miscellaneous points that I want to tie up. Firstly, and connecting to something I said earlier, I believe this GameCube emulator, which is paywalled behind both a Switch 2 and an NSO subscription, is software that could have been released years ago. I believe that they've had this completed and they were specifically holding this to put it behind the Switch 2 as a way to increase the value of the Switch 2. Meaning, this is supposed to help sweeten the deal. Instead of releasing this software however long ago, now it's an incentive to buy this new console. I don't like that. that feels like dirty sales. It's like buying a car and they put the $300 floor mats in the car you're buying. Like I should be able to get that on my own terms, in my own way. Next, the price of the welcome tour. The tech demo explaining how to use the console is paywalled. This game doesn't even look good. This looks boring and nothing like Astro's Playroom. And the fact that it's going to cost a confirmed $10 is just absurd. You mean I need to buy a $500 console and then pay more money to get the tech demo explaining how the console works? What kind of corporatist nonsense is that? And furthering that, this entire thing is corporate greed from top to bottom. Nintendo is not a poor company. They make billions every year. And I'm thinking of all the parents and grandmothers who go to buy their kids and grandkids games only to find that there are some games for $60 and some for $80. Do they know what the differences are? This script is almost 8 pages long, and I can't even explain what all the differences are. So yeah, most people will continue with the Switch 1 versions of games because they don't know any different. Which leads to the business equation, though. When you put the price tag up to $80, yeah, some people will buy it. Some people will buy every title Nintendo releases regardless of the price. But when games were at $60, you might have had 3 people buy it on one day in a Target. Well, 60 times 3 is $180 in sales. And now, at a price point of $80, maybe only one of those people buy that game, which means you get one sale for $80. That's $100 loss and 2 less customers. Nintendo, in their avarice, is killing their sales volume. Now, if Nintendo wants to do that, fine. But you're going to see every company begin to charge more money for their games, and the exact same thing is going to happen. You're going to see sales volume decrease, and many companies are going to hurt from this. Lots of jobs will be lost, and if the industry collapses because of it, you might see, and hopefully we see, a dawn of AA Renaissance games. In conclusion, I hope my words have landed with you at least a little bit. There are lots of factors here, and there are lots of variables we still don't know, but I want to encourage you to realize that this all ends when you say it ends. This is your marketplace. $80 games should be the cutoff point for us as customers. We should actively reject this. And it's easy. You just don't buy it. Don't buy the new system. Don't buy the new games. I won't be. Nintendo has earned a spot on the list of companies I won't buy from anymore. Aren't you at least a little tired of mega corporations shoving us around? And we blindly slurp up the milkshake they keep serving even though we know it's very bad for us. This is it. This is your moment to stand up for something, damn it. When is enough enough for you? At what point will you finally be forced to take a stand? When games are $150, is that it? Or we do something right now and hit them where it hurts. Their bottom line. Get them in the wallets. And it's happened before. The 3DS, the Wii U. It can happen again. Screw Nintendo. And until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. Damn.